Hello there everyone, this is going to be a new series in my channel where I tell you weekly what I've been reading and writing. For now I think I'm going to keep it to one video, but eventually if I become as productive as I want to, I will. I'm just writing less because it's holidays, but I might separate this into videos, one about reading, one about writing. But well, let's get into it. First things first. I'm reading the first ever published book by Clarice Lispector. This is a series on my channel. I've already made a video about it. I'm going to read all of her works in chronological order because I'm reading her letters. And so far, it's been a great experience because don't you guys ever feel that thing where you read a book and then you want to talk to the author about it and you can't because you don't know the author, potentially the author is dead? Well, she is dead, but I have her letters. And because I'm reading this in chronological order of publication, I'm currently reading the book that is appearing in her letters that she sends to her friends and family where she talks about the book. So I've been reading it and I've read the first few chapters and immediately I had this impression of the language that she uses is so specific to like Brazilian colloquialisms that I didn't know how they would translate it. It's a very language heavy book in a way that she clearly invested a lot of time in making sure that she's like writing it adequately to her character and to the age of her character. Because so far what I've understood is that she's doing interspersed chapters. One of them is when the character was younger and one of them is when the character is an adult. And you can clearly tell when the child chapters appear because the language is different. It's much more how a child brain would think, I guess. Much more disorganized and stream of consciousness rather than when she's an adult. And man, I had the feeling that I've seen this kind of writing before or something similar to this before. And then I was reading her letters and she was mentioning some criticism that she was receiving from people saying that she's basically the commercial option of James Joyce or Virginia Woolf. Which, well, it was funny that she said that in a letter to a friend. But I remember reading, I didn't finish it, but I started reading Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. And the language was freaky like that. It was freaky like that. So I see the comparison. But now I'm kind of intrigued about reading more Joyce and more Virginia Woolf because I haven't actually read any Virginia Woolf, and the only James Joyce I read was that little bit at the beginning of Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. But now I kind of want to because this book is really fun so far. Like, I feel like I've read a good fourth of the book and it's only introduction, but there's this feeling. Do you know that experience that we all have sometimes when we read something or we watch something and it puts into words or images a feeling that we've had for so long and couldn't really explain it, or we can explain it, but like it's not like anyone is hearing our inner thoughts, you know? And it exists in this book for me because this is about a person, a character, which actually has my name. And she is constantly trapped inside of her mind. She has the most extraordinarily profound and just complex thoughts. She thinks about everything. She looks at the entire world around her and inserts it into her thoughts. She reflects about everything. She asks like interesting questions to herself that no one else is asking her. And then you see this in contrast with her exterior life, with the life she lives with other people. And it's just so frustrating to see that she has such a beautifully ginormous, like universe-size mind. And then when she tries to translate it to the people around her, it falls flat. Like no one has. And I mean, we know that other people have such complex thoughts as we do. We know that other people have an inner monologue and an inner life that is complex and probably as layered as ours. But the character, Joanna, she can't get through them. Like, she can't find connection in other people because whenever she tries to talk to them about these inner thoughts that she has, this beautifully creative and imaginative inner life that she has, no one really understands. And it's just, it makes her feel so isolated, and I don't know what else because I need to finish reading the book, but it's just, I'm loving it. And like thinking of the writer, Clarice, where she was and what she writes in her letters, she's constantly asking her friends to like send her letters back because she's bored and she wants to know what's happening with their lives. And I can imagine how she must have drawn stuff from her life to write this character, because especially, I mean, with the career that we now know she had, she must have been an incredibly imaginative person. And to have all that inside her mind and then not have any society around her with whom to share these ideas and to share these thoughts. Basically, this idea that I had to read everything chronologically and while reading her letters is been the most wonderful thing, because it's really doing what I thought it would do, which is allow me to see inside maybe her mind, her thought process, her decisions when she was writing the book, her reactions to the criticism and everything. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. And yeah, I will probably do a book review of this book after I finish reading it. I mean, I'm taking a little while because this is not the book you binge, not at all. Especially with the language that she used. It's the book you kind of have to nourish. You use it to nourish yourself, and it takes a while, but I'm getting there. I think I mentioned before that I was reading this, well, rereading it, and I know it looks weird with this stuff, but that's because I have a really terrible copy and I had to glue the pages back together, and I didn't glue them well. Like, you can tell that it's, yeah, well, but I'm rereading this. I read it once before after I've watched the movie many, many times, and I'm loving it even more this time, I think. I have been really starved of romance. I haven't had any romance in my life for more than a year now. And my female adult body is starting to feel the lack of. So I'm reading Call Me By Your Name. I currently have 2 crushes. I have a crush on this cute guy that works at the bookstore that I love to go on Saturdays. I go there almost every Saturday, and there's this cute guy working there with the most deep voice. He has this beautiful deep voice, and I love deep voices, maybe because mine is deep as well, and I have a crush on him currently, and also on my Pilates teacher. Because I think I know, because I'm taking Pilates in my hometown, that in one of the gyms in my hometown, and I'm pretty sure I know that teacher. Like, I think I went to school with her or something. But yeah, I currently have 2 crushes, and she sometimes, because I have like back problems, so she sometimes comes and helps me with exercises. I'm so touch starved. But yeah, there's not much to say. I'm loving this book. I will always love it. I will always love this book. Everything that Aciman writes. I also started this, which is another book by him, but I wasn't in the right mood for it. So I think I'm gonna give it a few more weeks before I continue it. And I'm rereading this poetry collection book. This, I mean, if you're not Portuguese, or I guess if you don't live in Portugal or speak Portuguese, I don't know that you will appreciate this, but this is a specific edition. This is the Elogio da Sombra editions, and they are curated by a Portuguese writer, Valter Hugo Mãe. I've never read anything from him. I think he's Portuguese. He writes in Portuguese, at least. I've never read anything from him, but I've wanted to for a long time. And after reading, I have a bunch of these books. Like, I have many, at least 3 or 4 of these editions book. At least 3 or 4 of the books from this collection, I have them. and they're all good. Like, his taste, the taste of this author that is putting together these books is so good. Basically what they are is like collections of poems from certain Portuguese authors. He selects certain poems from various books over the years, and then he puts them into one book. And they're all good. Like, this is the first one from that collection that I've read, and I've read parts of 3 others so far, and they are all so good. And I'm rereading this one because I follow the poet and because I follow the poet in his Instagram, and I love it. He's very political. He's very much a woke leftist like me, and yeah, I'm rereading this, and it's giving me life, basically. There's this one quote from him that I actually have on my Instagram, on my personal Instagram, and it's just, I'll try to translate it here, but I'll do a bad job of it. But basically, it's part of a big poem, and he says, "I wasn't brave, I just had a lot of practice," which speaks to me on a very personal level, because sometimes when you go through something really hard or really horrible and you come out of it, people will say, "You were so brave, you are such a brave little girl, and you were so brave for like getting through this." And it's like, it really is the way he says it. Like, most people go through these like really bad situations, really horrible times. They don't feel brave. It's not like they chose to act or to survive despite their fear. It's just what they were used to. Like, when life is horrible, you learn how to deal with horrible things. You know? I wasn't brave. I just had a lot of practice. It really is like that. And this author, André Tecedeiro, he has this beautiful talent to write such complex emotions, such complex feelings and situations and experiences into very tiny poems. This phrase was within a bigger poem, but just this little phrase, I think it was like 2 verses, said so much about what I felt regarding certain things in my life with just 2 little phrases, 2 little verses. And that's him. Like, he is extraordinary at making the complex easy to understand or easy to feel with his words. I love him. Portuguese poet. I don't know if he has any books translated into English, but if he does, you should definitely check him out. He is amazing. About writing, well, if you didn't know, I think I talked about it before, but I also write, well, a lot of poetry, short stories, and, well, other stuff. A little bit of everything, really. I've always done it. To me, my situation is one of those where I didn't have anyone to talk to about the horrible things in my life, so I just had to write. Like, the first real poem that I wrote, it was in a time where I was just so emotionally beaten. I had nothing left in me, and I just needed to talk to someone, and there was literally no one. I mean, there were many people. I just didn't perceive it that way, because that's how it often happens. And literally my hands started moving, and I had no idea where it was coming from. And I wrote, like, it's my favorite poem that I've ever written ever. I love it, and I will never even try to publish it because I would be mortified. But it just fell out of me, and it has happened to me so many times since then, where, like, I don't understand people who have writer's block. Never ever in my life have I experienced that, a moment where I wanted to write something and I had nothing to write. Like, I have that thing where words just come out of me, and for the longest time, I thought that it would mean that all of it was shit, you know? I thought, no, like, writers put a lot of work in what they do. Nothing comes by accident. They don't just, start writing and write something. They revise it, and they edit it, and they put a lot of thought into every single word. And so I thought it would never have any value because it was just literally like a stream that came out. And I was talking to a friend a while back, and she was like, and I showed her like one of the shitty ones, when I thought if I show her a couple of shitty poems, the ones that I wrote but I don't really like, and she likes them, then maybe I have something. And this is what she told me, because I sent it to her and I said, okay, these ones I wrote a while ago. And she was surprised that they were unedited. Like I hadn't touched them. I just wrote them once and that's how they were. And she said, yeah, there's definitely something. Like just try to edit them and put some thought into it. Like use the base raw idea to create something, to construct something, and then try to submit them. And that was actually great advice. So I'm currently in that phase of my life where, well, you couldn't know this because I haven't said it before, but last year I was working in Brussels in a EU institution, and I hated it. I always thought that if I'd made it out of the country, I'm from Portugal, if I made it out of the country and if I made it into a place with a good salary, then everything will be okay. And then I did it. Like, I got out of the country, I made it to a place with a good salary. Like, the EU salaries are insane. I had people around me who were trying to offer me contacts and help me get, like, a more stable position. And I just couldn't do it because it was all so hollow and empty. It really just was a salary. And I decided that I was done with it. Like, I have a master's in psychology and I have no intention of ever using it again. And I'm trying to write. I'm trying to write, and it's absolutely terrifying. But what else, what else can I do? Just gonna live my life with a decent salary? Like, surely that's not the purpose of it. I mean, there's no purpose to life, but I don't want to live my life just with a good salary and nice vacations and a cool flat. Yeah. I'm one of those people that can't just work to have a paycheck. Like, the work needs to mean something. So I'm writing. Yeah. And currently I'm working a lot of projects because I always have something going. And I'm specifically or most focused in this short story, which was so much fun. Turns out I'm kind of freaky and like to write dark stuff. Not dark romance, like properly dark stuff. And I'm writing this story where you start reading as the protagonist. It's he does, he goes, stuff like that. And you start reading as the protagonist, and over time, immediately the protagonist is faced with a big challenge, immediately. And the readers will immediately attach themselves to this main character and start rooting for him. It's going to be impossible not to. And and over the course of these, 4,000 words, 6-7 pages, you start to doubt your own decision, because it wasn't your decision. It's the way that the narration happens. You start to align with this person immediately. And then you read the story and you start thinking, should I be on his side? Should I really be on his side? And then you get to 2/3 of the story and you realize, oh, I should not be on his side. And then you get to the end of the story and you feel conflicted because you don't know if what happened to him was true deserved. You were still a little bit attached to him. And yeah, and then you have to reread it again to notice all the detail and the foreshadow. I'm putting a lot of work into it because I truly enjoyed writing this, and I got so much satisfaction of what I did to this character. But yeah, I'm finishing up with some detail and foreshadowing that I want to put into it, and then I'm gonna look for places to submit. But this is the thing that is hard for me, because I've never really found... I've submitted short stories before. I only got accepted once for one publication in England, and then never again. I mean, I haven't submitted that many, just a few. But I always have a hard time finding a magazine or a journal that fits the story that I'm trying to submit. And if it doesn't fit, usually like that's what they say, that you shouldn't submit to a magazine just to submit. Like, it should be a good fit. And I've been spending a few weeks like searching for publications that take in short story submissions that would fit this. And so far I've only found one that I think would really fit the story that I wrote. And I'm probably going to submit it there, but I want to find at least a couple more. And that's like the process of what I'm doing right now. I'm reading a lot of magazines and journals, literary journals, to try to find another two, at least another one, that where this story would be a good fit for. And it's actually a really exciting process, because in looking for magazines and journals that have the same themes and that invest in the same kind of stories and take the same risks as my story would be a risk for them, I'm finding really good stories. Actually, I found this one publication where it would be a good fit, and I'm enjoying the stories, and I'm realizing those times before when I was like searching for publications for a story, and I never really enjoyed reading, because that's the thing, you can't just submit to a bunch of places. You kind of have to read their catalog and see if you like those stories, see if they would, like, if your story would be a part of the whole of that magazine, if it would fit well. And I never really enjoyed much of the stories that I read when I was searching for magazines. And now I found one where I really enjoy them, and I keep going back to it to read the new stories that they publish. And I feel like finally I found something that clicks, and this is what I'm looking for in other places. But it's been really fun because I found really good stories. Like, I'm still thinking about this one story that I read a while ago in this publication. And yeah, I'm excited about that. It's like a practice that I do every now and then, like not every day because I've been, doing a lot of videos, but for my first channel. But yeah, every, sorry, something weird happened to the audio. I thought I'd lost like an hour of recording, but no, it's fine. But yeah, I'm excited about searching for other magazines and journals to submit short stories to. And, well, I shared this in my TikTok, but not here. But I'm currently going through a very delusional phase where I believe I can do anything. And I feel like this is going to last a long time, because I'm not going to give up on what I want to do with my life just because I might fail. I'm like preparing to be a failure for the next 10 years, basically, because I won't give up. I don't care. This is what I want to do right now, and this is what I'm going to do. And this determination has never failed me so far, so I'm counting on it. But yeah, I'm actually preparing to like apply, not for next year, but for 2026. I'm preparing to apply to like this creative MFA in the US that I will absolutely not get. There's no way they're going to select me, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I want this one specifically because I'm familiar with a few of the authors that are on the professors in this MFA, and I am kind of a bit familiar with the kind of program they have, and it appeals to me a lot. But while I'm preparing the application for their program, I'm probably going to prepare for a few others. So yeah, that's the kind of delusional thinking I've been doing over here in my village in the north of Portugal. So yeah, those are my reading and writing updates. Yeah. If we can't dream about the life that we want, what the fuck are we going to do in this life? Right? Just go to an office and work on spreadsheets for the next 60 years? That will not be me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. See you eventually. Bye bye.